Alright guys, in today's video we're talking about the PlayStation 5 once again because we have some new info to go over and discuss. The first piece of information that we're going over has to do with some more comments that Epic Games recently made about the PS5, actually calling it a masterpiece of systems design, which is some very huge praise right there. And so it just seems Epic Games honestly can't stop talking about the PlayStation 5. They're just so thoroughly impressed with it. And I feel as though when you hear big third-party developers like Epic Games talking about this console and, giving it this type of praise, you have to focus in on that. And I think it's important to do so as well if you're interested in really trying to get a good understanding of what these next-gen consoles, especially the PlayStation 5, are going to do for games in the long-term future. We're also talking about frame rate on the PlayStation 5, as we have at least one game here that is confirmed to be getting the 120 frames per second treatment. According to the developers of Valorant, it's a very achievable goal. I think this is something that's also worth paying attention to because there's been some concern surrounding frame rates on the PlayStation 5. How many games are going to be running at 30 FPS? How many games are going to be running at 60? And how many games are realistically going to be able to achieve 120 FPS? While I don't have the answer to all of those questions, we can at least look to what one developer is saying in regards to hitting 120 FPS. Finally, we are highlighting the July PlayStation Plus games lineup because not only is it a pretty solid lineup, but Sony is also celebrating the 10th anniversary of PlayStation Plus by giving out a bonus game and a free theme as well. So this is everything we're going to be talking about in the video. If you could do me a big favor before we go any further, hit the like button to show your support and help the video out, and make sure you hit the subscribe button as well so you don't miss any future content. Starting here with Epic Games, the VP of Engineering for Epic Games has heaped praise on Sony's upcoming next-generation console, the PS5, describing the new hardware as a masterpiece of systems design. Speaking with the latest issue of official PlayStation Magazine UK, Nick Penwarden labeled the PS5 as revolutionary for its various technical capabilities, including storage and data compression technology. The PlayStation 5 is a masterpiece of systems design. Not only is it driving a huge leap in computing and graphics performance, but it is also revolutionary in terms of storage and data compression technology, unlocking new kinds of games and experiences for players to enjoy. So absolutely massive words there coming from Nick Penwarden. This is not the first time we've heard Nick Penwarden actually praising the PlayStation 5, and it just seems that Epic Games can't stop talking about this console, but he's out here calling it a masterpiece of systems design, which is very significant, saying it's going to be revolutionary and that it's going to essentially allow for different types of games that just simply weren't possible and experiences that were not possible before. And so the reason why I continue to highlight this is because it's easy to get caught up in the conversation, people who are bickering back and forth about which console is going to be better, because suddenly overnight everybody becomes an engineer and a developer and they know exactly what they're talking about. While I don't doubt that there are people who are very well educated and do know what they're talking about and have a good understanding, there's just something to be said for actual developers who are not only developing one of the biggest game engines that's going to be, used on the PlayStation 5 or take advantage of the PlayStation 5, but they're going to be making games for the PS5. These guys know what they're talking about. So if you're going to pay attention to anything that anyone is saying, you're going to want to pay attention to developers like this and what they have to say about these upcoming consoles. But sticking with what Epic Games has to say, speaking during the latest issue of Edge magazine, Tim Sweeney, the CEO and founder of Epic Games, revealed how both companies had been working for 3 to 4 years on the new technology, with Sony's Mark Cerny discussing about what would be possible with the next generation hardware. It was 3 to 4 years ago at least when we started to talk with Mark Cerny about the possibilities for the next generation. Sony really did a fantastic job of implementing a new platform around that realization that storage could be revolutionized. PlayStation 5 is built not only on a huge body of flash memory, but also very high bandwidth and low latency framework for accessing it and for getting it to wherever you need for any type of work. So Those are some more recent comments, I have to tell you, because again, we've went over things that Epic Games, Tim Sweeney, Nick Penwarden, what they've said in the past when they showed off their first demo of Unreal Engine 5 on the PS5, but they're still continuing to talk about it. These are the most recent comments coming from them. And again, it just seems like they are thoroughly impressed with this console. And honestly, I like when I hear developers say these things because it genuinely does get me excited for what is going to be possible in the distant future, and maybe even, sooner than we think on the PlayStation 5 with games. So let me know your thoughts about that down in the comments below. But moving on to Valorant hitting 120 FPS apparently on the PlayStation 5. The prospect of Valorant on PS5 being a potentially stunning port has just improved, as comments made by the principal engineer at Riot Games suggest that the developer believes that Valorant running at 120 FPS on next-gen consoles is an achievable goal. In terms of performance, we believe getting Valorant running at 120 frames per second on next-gen consoles is an achievable goal. This is mostly thanks to the aggressive performance targets that Valorant initially set. During development, we put emphasis hitting high frame rates at commonly used resolutions. Being able to push a 4K resolution at 120 frames comes with its own set of challenges. Even with an optimized renderer and low instruction count pixel shaders, rendering a large amount of pixels takes a significant amount of time. Technologies like variable rate shading could help us reach these targets, and we will be evaluating them for higher end hardware and next-gen consoles in the near future. So while this isn't concrete confirmation that this game will be able to hit 4K 120 frames per second, I don't know if that's a realistic expectation. Maybe 1080p 120 frames per second, or possibly even 1440p. But we do have developers talking about achieving this on both next-gen consoles. He's not just talking about the PS5, but again, I have to highlight this because there has been seemingly some concern that the frame rate difference that we're going to see in games running on the next generation Xbox and the PlayStation 5 is going to be dramatically different, and I just don't think that's the case. I think we could see certain situations where maybe for some games on the PlayStation 5, maybe it has a slightly lower resolution compared to what you see on the next generation Xbox, but I think that if a game is targeting 60 FPS or 120 FPS, it's going to be able to hit that no problem on these consoles. I mean, we heard that Sony apparently, or the developers of Gran Turismo 7, they're going to strive for 120 frames per second and maybe even 240 frames per second, which is just insane, and you could argue maybe even completely unnecessary, but it's very doable on these next-gen consoles. Now, the question as to how many games are going to be able to hit 60 FPS, well, I don't have an answer for that. I mean, I've given my thoughts on this many times before, and you already know what they are. I hope to see a performance mode in pretty much every big AAA game at the very least. I'm hoping that every big first-party title that comes out from Sony does have the option to choose between the best possible graphical settings at 30 FPS, or maybe a performance mode which lowers that, but also allows you to play the game at 60 FPS. I think that would be the best overall solution. There we go. Apparently Valorant on PlayStation 5 is going to be attempting to hit 120 frames per second, and they do think it is an achievable goal. So moving on from that, and to finish off this video, we're talking about the PlayStation Plus July games lineup. It says, hi everyone, wow, it's been 10 years since PlayStation Plus was first introduced to the world on June 29th, 2010, and we truly want to thank all of you for supporting PS Plus over the past decade. It's been a memorable journey over the years, bringing gamers together and providing access to compelling content and exclusive discounts for our members. We wouldn't be here without all of you, so as a thank you, we wanted to make this upcoming monthly games announcement extra special by adding a bonus game to our incredible lineup. So the games you're going to be getting are NBA 2K20, you're going to be getting Rise of the Tomb Raider, the 20-year celebration, which is very cool. But the bonus game you're getting is called Erica, which I believe is a PlayStation exclusive game. And so, yeah, you're getting 3 games this month, which is really nice. But it seems we are also going to be getting a theme. It says here we'll be releasing a free PS4 theme later in the week to celebrate 10 years of PS Plus. The theme will be available on the PlayStation Store for a limited time, so be on the lookout. For those of you who haven't tried the online multiplayer benefit of PS Plus, You know, this is just them basically letting us know what you get, the fact that you get access to multiplayer. And I know that a lot of people, myself included, I feel like it shouldn't be this way, but it's just the way it is. It's not going to change. So it's just nice to see that Sony is trying to put as much value into it as they possibly can. I've seen some people say that maybe Sony should consider trying to do something with PlayStation Now, some type of bundle with PS Plus, which I think maybe we will see that going into next generation. But either way, it's nice that they're doing a little celebration here. It'll be nice to see what that theme ends up looking like. I don't think they put out the image of it yet, and it will be limited, so be on the lookout for that, as it said. But yeah, it seems like it's a pretty solid month for games. Last month was actually really good as well, getting Call of Duty World War II and Star Wars Battlefront 2. It'll be really interesting to see how Sony handles PlayStation Plus going into next generation. If they're going to, you know, try to add more value to it. It'll be interesting to see what type of PlayStation 5 games we can expect within the first couple of months of PlayStation Plus on the PlayStation 5. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting thing to see how they handle this going forward. But either way, there you go. It looks like July is going to be a pretty solid month. So that's going to do it for the video, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. I hope you did find it informative. Be sure to let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Let me know what you think about Epic Games and their comments on the PS5. Let me know what you think about Valorant on the PlayStation 5, potentially hitting 120 frames per second. And let me know what you think about the PlayStation Plus July games lineup. Again, leave the video a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new and haven't already, hit the bell notification icon so you never miss an upload, and feel free to share this video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.